We created $100 million for shareholders out of essentially nothing. In 16 months, people tripled their money.
What I love to do is introduce the right people to the right people. I assemble the smartest people I can think of or reach out to carry that conversation, and that's exactly what I've done today.
Please give my panel a round of applause. Welcome.
What's up, guys? Jay Martin here, CEO of Cambridge House, and today I'm sitting down with Mike Allen, the CEO of Eclipse Gold Mining. Mike, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay, now if you guys subscribe to my newsletter, you know earlier this week I published a very lengthy report on Eclipse Gold Mining. And if you don't subscribe, you should do so. There's a pinned comment right beneath this video where you can do. It's free. Join an army of 40,000 investors that get to hear from me every Tuesday, where I share anecdotes and lessons that I receive from conversations just like this and plenty more. But I shared this story because, as you guys know, people is the #1 criteria when it comes to my investment strategy. And I'm a people person. I run a conference business. I have conversations like this for a living. So I play to my strengths. I know the people. But I also believe it's the most important criteria because when you're investing in the small cap sector, you're really just betting on the decision making and the judgment of 1 or 2 individuals who are going to be controlling your money, right? And you're betting that they're going to surround themselves with other brilliant people, that they're going to chase only the best business opportunities and not throw good money after bad. And most critically, when plan A and plan B get compromised, because it's going to happen, they're going to have the energy and resilience and foresight to have a plan C and hunt that down. All right, that's what I saw with Eclipse, and that's why I was so excited to share this story with my audience, but I wanted you guys to hear it directly from Mike. So Eclipse is a gold exploration company. We're going to talk about that. But before we do, I want to hear, let's talk a little bit about the gold sector because I've been in this industry for 10 years and it's never been as bullish as it is today. At times it's actually maybe a bit nervous that it's heated up too quickly.
Yep.
Now anybody watching this video probably agrees the macro trends favoring gold right now are stronger than ever and we can see that. But Mike, what are you seeing from your seat that's either increasing or decreasing your conviction in the gold sector right now?
When you talk about the macro picture, like you look at what has happened in 2020 with COVID and the stimulus packages that have gone out, it's a supply and demand equation. So right. the more money that is out there, the less that it has value. But the amount of gold that is out there is finite. So it tips the equation more that the paper will eventually devalue and the hard assets, the gold will run up.
Right.
You're going to see that in the gold space, and that will lead to a movement of capital into the gold equities, starting at the top with the developers and the producers, particularly the seniors, the Newmonts, the Barricks, the Newcrests, and then you're going to see.
We're seeing that now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting way to put it because I have a lot of people in my network that don't come from the gold sector, maybe entered the industry or entered the market on the back of the cannabis rush, the crypto rush, and now they're looking at gold for the first time, mainly for the equity return, but trying to wrap their mind around gold as a safe haven asset class can be difficult, right? Especially, I'm 36, it's hard to imagine a fiat currency like the Canadian or US dollar actually being that compromised. But it's not that hard anymore, right? On the back of this pandemic, right? We're seeing more expeditious money printing than we could ever imagine and really as quickly as mechanically possible, right? Yeah. And what happens when you massively inflate the supply of anything, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's making more sense today. Anyways, for the first time ever, we're seeing major headlines. We're seeing things like the most conservative and long-term money enter the sector on the back of like Berkshire Hathaway or I think it was just last week, it was the Ohio Fire and Police Pension Fund. Now you've been in this sector for 20 years, so you've seen these cycles come and go where money may enter the physical space or the funds, the very conservative gold plays, and then hit the gold miners and then hit the exploration companies. Do you have any sense of where we might be right now?
The larger funds are going to go to the more liquid stocks, and those are the producers. And then there will be that's the classic. That's going to be the first driver is the funds moving in and cashing up the majors, and then you'll see that movement of capital down into the junior producers, and then ultimately into the explorers. And the explorers being so small, when you start to put real generalist capital into that system, there's a massive torque.
It's a lot of torque. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now for anybody who isn't familiar with your background, we're going to talk about Eclipse. And like I said, the team Mike's built is stand up, like phenomenal. But prior to Eclipse, this isn't your first rodeo. 2016, you joined the team at Northern Empire. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So walk us through that story, because that's a pretty exciting one.
Empire, when I joined as CEO, was a prospect generator. It was focused largely in Alaska, and through various discussions with the board, I was able to convince the board to move from that business model to an advanced developer, advanced explorer. I knew of an asset in Nevada that I thought was underappreciated. It was called the Sterling.
Yeah.
And it was a situation where the people that owned the Sterling, or the company that owned the Sterling, was distressed, and we were able to, through our network, make a connection with the single largest shareholder of that company, and literally get a deal done like that.
Right.
It was literally, call that guy, 15 minutes later, here's the price, all right, we're live. What happened after that is it was an unknown asset. We were able to surface value for our shareholders quite quickly. We sold the company 16 months later for 10 times what we paid for the asset.
To Coeur Mining.
That's correct.
Right.
And that was a very interesting conversation and relationship that we had with Coeur. Coeur came in as part of the acquisition financing to acquire the Sterling. The people there got what it was.
Okay.
Right away, and saw the potential of it. And we virtually called the shot from the first meeting. I actually got an email from the CEO of Coeur. Would you like to come for lunch on this day in Chicago?
Right.
Absolutely.
You knew what that meeting was going to be about.
Yeah, and it was a very interesting conversation, frank conversation. The CEO of Coeur, Mitch, is a wonderful guy. If you ever get a chance to meet him, great person. And we talked about what our vision was for Empire, and what we wanted to do with the company, what I wanted to do with the asset, and that was it was a really interesting conversation. I had Doug Hurst, who was executive chairman of the company at the time, with me, and we had a really fulsome discussion. It was really a head and heart situation.
When it came to talking to Coeur about the exit.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Because you have this idea and this asset, and you want to grow it, and you I'm going to be the king of the world.
Sure.
And
yeah.
That's the dream of it. We're going to build the Sterling. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do the other thing, and then you look at the risk profile of doing that.
Okay.
And you go, well, hang on a second here.
Yeah.
Let's actually think this through. And we were able to make a decision where it was like, there's a massive amount of risk to be a single asset developer. If
right.
and I remember saying this in the meeting, like, if we stub our toe in our execution of developing these assets, it's fatal for our shareholders.
Yeah.
And so the head says, surface the value, create the liquidity, make the exit.
Yeah. But you're a geologist. Right? What did the heart say?
The heart said, oh God, do it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was difficult.
Okay. Okay, but that's what we're talking about when I say we're betting on the decision making and the judgment of these CEOs. It's just that, right?
Yeah.
You saw the return on the table for your shareholders, and you took it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what it is. I mean, we created $100 million for shareholders out of essentially nothing. In 16 months, people tripled their money, and we just walked out, returned them. And it was at a time actually where people could actually take those profits and redeploy their capital. It was just the start of this cycle. And so I know of investors that got that liquidity and have now redeployed it and are up multiples.
Absolutely. Okay. Great.
Yeah. So that was a thing that we create that value, create that liquidity, and let your shareholders do what they want to do, which is create more money for themselves. So yeah.
Which just creates an awesome question for Eclipse, because we're not asking, can you do it? It's, can you do it again, Mike? Right? That's what we're looking for here.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of things about what we see at Eclipse that is parallel to what we had with Empire.
Okay. You're in Nevada.
We're obviously in Nevada. We're in the walking lane.
Yeah.
A lot of the team is the same. Both the team on the ground, so it's guys that I've worked with, and that is actually a huge advantage because you trust the people.
Okay, now talk about Doug Hurst a little bit, because he was with you at Northern Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, what a rock star, right?
Yeah.
And you brought him to Eclipse.
He was one of the founders of one of the original royalty companies. It was IRC, and then it got sold to Royal. But it's that combination of technical skills and business acumen. IRC was a $700 million company when it sold to Royal. It could have gone on. It was cash flowing, all those things, create the liquidity and move on. He was a founder of Newmarket, which saw an unsung asset in Australia, Croc, and was able to do that transaction. They went from I believe about a $30 million market cap to $1 billion. Sold to Kirkland Lake Gold. Kirkland Lake Gold went from, I believe it was about $10 a share to $50 on the Newmarket asset.
Right.
And you just think of the value creation that happened as a result of it.
Oh yeah.
And it's absolutely stunning.
Okay, now the founding of Eclipse came off the back, tell me if I'm correct on this, came off the back of your success at Northern Empire, catching the attention of Marcel de Groot and Dave DeWitt at Pathway Capital, and then you guys met at Denver at the Beaver Creek Conference.
Correct.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, and then how did the idea come together that you would work together, move into the office and start something?
I think that one of the things that if I'm allowed to talk about myself,
do it.
I execute on an opportunity.
Okay.
And so the literal meeting of Marcel and I at Beaver Creek, Dave Orm and Marcel are going one way, and Dave Orm is Sandstorm.
Yes.
And so they're going one way, and hey, that's Mike Allen. Marcel, you and Mike should have a coffee at some point in time. And so we started to do joint evaluations on various projects. And together, eventually that led to, why don't you sit here? We like how you think. Sit here and find something and we'll back you.
Okay.
And that was literally how the conversation went. It took some time. Finding an asset is tough. We looked through probably between 80 and 100 different assets. Dominantly Nevada, Western US. We did do a few things in South America, and then ultimately the Hercules opportunity came to our attention, and we went down that process and ultimately created Eclipse.
Right. Now, what caught your attention about Hercules?
We went down to Nevada and took a look at it, and it was myself and a trusted geologist, a fellow by the name of Rich. We went down there and took a look at it, and it took our breath away.
Why?
And just the scale of it.
Okay.
The system that was there that you could clearly see was for kilometers.
Okay.
East to west, north to south, and we started to go through our mental due diligence of this, and it's like, okay, is there going to be a permitting issue here? Not really. This is Nevada. We're in a good area. And we went through, and it's just like, this is compelling. Like, there is a lot of upside here, and there's a lot of value to be surfaced with this asset. At the time, the flaw that we saw with it was that it was tenure constrained. It was about a 10 square kilometer package.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we needed to answer that question. And we got together with the claim stakers, and okay, is there anything in this block? 75 or no, it was about 50 square kilometer block. There's nobody there.
Okay.
Okay. You draw it out again. We got to an 85 square kilometer land package, and we were able to get all the alteration that we could see. We were able to actually, through our Sandstorm connection, access a historical drilling database. There was a monster drill hole about a mile further to the south than the known property. It was a 38 meters of 0.64 grams per ton, ended in mineralization. Like, okay, get that. And we're able to essentially stake a district scale package in Nevada, no competition.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
And then you start to look at the scale of it and start to get those feelings of like just what this could be. And it was very, very exciting. And brought down some great geologists. We had the chief geologist from Sandstorm came down. Dave Orm came down. Everybody looked at it and went, "Wow, this is an hour outside of Reno."
Yeah. Yeah. Significant.
Yeah.
Very attractive.
Very attractive from all sorts of things. cheap to get people in and out of. You can, and if you get to a situation where you're developing a mine, you're going to get the A team.
Yeah.
Because people can,
They can live in Reno.
Their kids can go to proper, real schools. It's going to be a wonderful scenario. And then you look at the property and it's like, wow, this is incredible. And so, we got it, and we were able to, just based largely on that, I showed the property to Warwick.
Yep.
And he was ready to leave his role at Pretium, and he came over and joined us as VPX, just strictly on the upside and the friendship, and that was what he saw. I mean, and it's really an interesting complement to the asset that one of the probably best geologists in Vancouver, top 10 geologist in Vancouver, looks at something and goes, that's cool. And he's got a job at a world-class company, but he's willing to take the jump, because that's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about your cap table a little bit. It's like probably one of the most important questions that I ask is, who's your biggest shareholder?
It's me.
That's you. And management and insiders still control 40% of the company.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Anything you can prepare our shareholders for, or prospective shareholders for, looking forward to 2021?
One of the key assets of the Hercules was that it actually had what's called a plan of operations permit. So for drill permits in Nevada, you've got notice level, which allows you to disturb 5 acres, and plan of operations, which are variable but up to about a square mile.
Right.
So this project has the plan of operations permit. It came with the asset.
Right.
So
typically, well, especially right now in a hot gold market, how long would it have taken you to get that plan of operations?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
But you've got it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And that was one of the key things when we were structuring the company. It's like, okay, you can drill a bunch of holes under a notice level, and then you go quiet, and your stock goes into the tank because you've got no grist for the mill, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Versus what we have with Eclipse is, we've got that plan of operations, and that'll actually give us enough footprint to go into resource delineation fairly quickly. So the second phase program is getting the geometry of the deposit, of the system, nailed down, and then we would be able to step into delineation. So what you're going to look for in terms of news flow for the remainder of 2020 is that exploration program, making sure that we have the geometry of the deposit nailed down tight, and then 2021 we go into resource delineation. What we're also doing in the background is permitting for another add-on plan of operations to go even wider. So to get down to that other intercept that's a mile to the south. That's more to come in the future. So you can imagine a scenario of exploration success, resource 1, plan of operation comes in, gives us more ground to go after, exploration and resource 2. And so it's a constant unearthing of value for shareholders over the next period of time to create a truly compelling company with a discovery in Nevada.
Right. Yeah. Okay, and that's what it's all about. This is a early stage exploration play, but it's big.
Yeah.
Right. The proximity to Reno is phenomenal. You're an hour away, and you're in Nevada, which is probably the best gold jurisdiction on the planet, and one that you have a lot of experience with. In the background, you've got the support of people like Nolan Watson and Dave from Sandstorm, the Pathway Capital guys, Marcel and Dave, who are at the ground floor of both Sandstorm and Equinox, and plenty of other companies, I think about 6 now, that have touched $1 billion in market cap. And then yourself and Doug and Warwick from Northern Empire. It really is a killer team. I'm very excited about it. Okay, so thanks so much for chatting today. I hope you guys took something away from this. And Mike, it was an honor.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course.